माधव गोपीजन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी वल्लभ जय गोपीजन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी यशोदनन्दन व्रज जनरञ्जन यशोदनन्दन व्रज जनरञ्जन यमुनातीरावनचारी यमुनातीरावनचारी जयो राधमाधव कुञ्ज विहारी गोपीजनवल्लभ गिरिवरधारी यशोदनन्दन व्रज जनरञ्जन यमुनातीरावनचारी जयो राधमाधव कुञ्ज विहारी हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जय। श्री निताय गौरचंद्र भगवान की जय। शील प्रभुपाद की। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। We are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, chapter number 12, entitled Birth of Parikshit Maharaj, Birth of Emperor Parikshit, Shlok 28. जिज्ञासितात्मयथार्थो मुनिर्व्याससुतादसो हित्वेदं नृपगङ्गायां यास्यस्ति अध यास्यस्त्यध्यात्तकुतो भयम् जिज्ञासितात्मयथार्थो मुनिर्व्याससुतादसो हित्वेदं नृपगङ्गायां यास्यस्ति अद्धा कुतो भयम् जिज्ञासितात्मयाथार्थ्यो मुनिर्व्याससुतादसो हित्वेदं नृपगङ्गायां यास्यस्ति अधा कुतो भयम् जिज्ञासितात्मयाथार्थ्यो मुनिर्व्याससुतादसो हित्वेदं नृपगङ्गायां यास्यस्ति अद्धा कुतो भयम् जिज्ञासितात्मयाथार्थो मुनिर्व्याससुतादसो हित्वेदं नृपगङ्गायां यास्यस्ति भयम्। माताजी जिज्ञासतात्मयाथार्थ्यो मुनिर्व्याससुतादसो हित्वेदं नृपगङ्गायां यथा कुतो भयम् जिज्ञासितात्मयाथार्थ्यो मुनिर्व्याससुतादसो हित्वेदं नृपगङ्गायां यास्यति अद्धा कुतो भयम्. What word meaning, translation and purport by His Divine Grace Sri Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Jigyasita, having inquired of. Atma Yathartha, right knowledge of one's own self. Muneha, from the learned philosopher. Vyasa Sutad, the son of Vyasa. Aso, he. Hitva, quitting. Idam, this material attachment. Nrapa, O king. Gangayam, on the bank of Ganges. Yasyati, will go. Adha, directly. Akuta bhayam, the life of fearlessness. Translation. After inquiring about proper self-knowledge from the son of Vyasadeva, who will be great philosopher, he will renounce all material attachment and achieve a life of fearlessness. Purport. Material knowledge means ignorance of knowledge of one's own self. Philosophy means to seek after the right knowledge of one's own self, or self-knowledge, or the knowledge of self-realization. Without self-realization, philosophy is dry speculation, or a waste of time and energy. Srimad Bhagavatam gives the right knowledge of one's own self, and by hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, one can get free from material attachment and enter into the kingdom of fearlessness. This material world is fearfulness. Its prisoners are always fearful as within a prison house. In the prison house, no one can violate the jail rules and regulations. And violating the rules means another term for extension of prison life. Similarly, we are in this material existence are always fearful. This fearfulness is called anxiety. Everyone in the material life, in all species and varieties of life, is full of anxieties, either by breaking or without breaking the laws of nature. Liberation or mukti means getting relief from these constant anxieties. This is possible only when the anxiety change to the devotional service of the Lord. Srimad Bhagavatam gives us the chance to change the quality of anxiety from matter to spirit. This is done in the association of learned philosopher like self-realized Sukadeva Goswami, the great son of Sri Vyasadeva. Maharaj Parikshit, after receiving warning of his death, took advantage of this opportunity by association with Sukadeva Goswami and achieved the desired result. There is a sort of imitation of this reciting and hearing of Srimad Bhagavatam by professional men, and their foolish audience thinks that they will get free from the clutches of material attachment and attain the life of fearlessness. Such imitative hearing of Srimad Bhagavatam is caricature only, and one should not be misled by such performance of Bhagavad Saptah undertaken by ridiculous greedy fellows to maintain an establishment of material enjoyment. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupaha Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamsha Namaha Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namini Namaste Saraswate Devi Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschadya Deshatarini Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namine Gauratavise Namaha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhesha Kripa Sindhubheva cha Patithanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivas Adi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Mukham karoti vanchanam pangum langayate girim yatkripa tamaham vande Shri Guru Dinatarinam. Hare Krishna. So I don't have any qualification to speak on this exalted topic of Srimad Bhagavatam. Specifically, the topic is fearlessness, and I'm really afraid of speaking it. But I have hope that on the blessings of all the Vaishnavas, that so that I speak in the right context, whatever I heard from the superiors, uh, uh, Guru Maharaj and Srila Prabhupada, I will try to repeat as it is for my own purification or the pleasure of all the Vaishnavas and the pleasure of the Lord. So, yeah. This is a very important verse and concluding verse of uh, yeah. Now, now in this verse, last few verses we saw that how the future was predicted about the Parikshit Maharaj. And now in this verse, in concluding, here it is mentioned that after inquiring about proper self-knowledge from the son of Vyasadeva, who will be a great philosopher, he will renounce all material attachment and achieve a life of fearlessness. And Prabhupada gives very brilliant purport. I was thinking one line is like uh, worth of contemplating and what to follow in our try to follow in our life. So Shrimad Bhagavatam or Krishna Katha is all auspicious to hear. There is a in the context of Shri Uddhavji to the Lord Krishna, this very wonderful shloka comes here in 11.6.44. Here it is comes that how Krishna Katha is auspicious. He says that Tava Vikriditam Krishna Nanam Paramamangalam Karana Piyusha Svadya Tejanti Anyasprajana. He said that the Krishna Katha is a Paramamangalam, is auspicious for oneself, auspicious for those who hears and everyone. Karna Piyusha Aswadya, it's like a nectar for the ears. And what happens by hearing Srimad Bhagavatam is Tejanti, right? I mean, all Tajantri Spra, Anya Spra, those are all other desires other than Krishna consciousness, Anya Spraha, Janaha, that automatically goes away. He will not desire for any other thing that any other material desires than hearing about Krishna Katha. So it's supremely auspicious. That's how Uddhavji is saying to Krishna directly. So and all the questions and answers, those who are here in Srimad Bhagavatam, are in relationship with Krishna. So many times, Parikshit Maharaj also says that if it is in relationship with Krishna, then you can explain this. Right? So, so like that, because it is very auspicious, and this is what the purpose of human life, to hear about Krishna. And specifically, Prabhupada says here for the self-realization. And Prabhupada started with the material knowledge means ignorance of the knowledge of one's own self. One time, the devotees were asking Srila Prabhupada that, Rather Prabhupada was asking that how you will give classes. And the devotee said, Prabhupada, I will speak about Krishna. And Prabhupada said, no, speak about body and soul first. And then start after that, then about speaking about Krishna. And practically every lecture we see how Prabhupada brings that point of body and soul. It's a very, very important point. And that's how Prabhupada is writing here, that without self-realization, philosophy is a dry speculation or waste of time and energy. So it's very important, the self-realization. And Prabhupada gives that when one is self-realized, that many symptoms of self-realization we will discuss in due course of time. That how one become fearless. So fearfulness is the one quality which is described here in this purport. So let's try to focus on this, where Krishna in 16.1 also gives the qualities of a person who is divine in nature. That abhayam sattvasam suddhir. The abhayam, he gives first quality is a fearfulness. And Prabhupada gave a very nice purport there, that those who are in renounced order of life, like sannyasis, they are supposed to follow this quality of abhayam. And Prabhupada says that because they always depend, Prabhupada, I will read exactly sentence Prabhupada says, because a sannyasis or renounced order has to be alone without any support or guarantee of support. He has simply to depend on the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, yeah. So basically, the principle is to depend on Krishna. That Krishna is Paramatma. Prabhupada goes on saying further that how Krishna is as a Paramatma residing in everyone's heart, and try to depend on a Paramatma. And this conviction, one who has, he become abhayam. He says, fearless. So, why do fear, what is fear actually, and why do fear comes? And we'll see the reasons of the fear. And then we'll come to the, how actually we'll become fearless. And the many qualities I was yesterday hearing in the lecture by His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj on this particular quality. I'll try to share that also. And yeah, few acharyas example how they followed this quality in their life, and we'll see that how we can imbibe a little bit of this quality in our life. So the fear, basically, I was hearing one lecture of Gaurang Prabhu where he says that the fear, he says that the difference between my plan and Krishna's plan. He said if the reminder is not zero, that means that much fear we have. To the extent I am aligned with the Krishna's plan, then I become fearless. That's what the point says. And now to live in this material world is so difficult because the so many scenarios are changing, the situations are changing, the weather is changing. Right? So economics, so many changes are there, and to remain, fearless in these unchanging conditions, it is very, very difficult. And therefore, he quoted a purport 2 to 5, wherein Prabhupada also says that if you want to remain stable in unstable situations, then it is possible only if you catch the stable which is eternal. Mukunda Charanam Bhujam. Then he says that one who has tightly caught the lotus feet of Mukunda, he can remain stable in this world. in unchanging situations, unchanging positions. So the basically fear is the emotion of anxiety, is stress, and the so many worries, and uh, some principal fears here the noted as I heard in the lecture, that the fear of abandonment, the loss of identity, loss of meaning, loss of purpose, and the finally fear of death. And in the survey, this is Haribhakti Prabhu told me, his statistics, that the 65 percentage of fear what we have is the thing which never happens. The 12% of fear of some past event, 13% of a fear is by the people whom we can't change, 6% by the things beyond our control, and 4% that worry of the real things. Like that. So, and the one thing is, worry never goes away. Constantly there are worries. Mm. Before, when I started practicing Krishna consciousness, I was thinking that I'm in college, I'm not able to get time for practicing Krishna consciousness. I thought that, okay, if I pass out from this college, if I get a job, then I'll be very peaceful practicing Krishna consciousness. Then after a few years, when I got into the job, then I thought, oh, so hectic schedule. I'm not able to find out the time. Then I can keep on thinking that if I join ashram, then maybe, the worries will go and then I can practice peacefully. And then after joining, then worries, because worries are never ending, unending. Worries are unending. Krishna says that it's a every only the person, one who is a self-realized, no sochati na kankshati. Otherwise, there are always worries in this world. You cannot replace, or either you cannot avoid till the death. But the Prabhupada very important right here points. He writes that we have to change the worries from matter to spirit. This is a very important point. That anxieties will be there always, but we have to learn to change our anxieties from matter to spirit. And this is again, Prabhupada give further that if in a jail person try to find out, how I can live very nicely, peacefully, but if I break rules and regulations, then again there are worries. So the worries are constantly will be there, either of the past or the future, but we have to be in present, he says, and try to live in the present, give up the worries. So what causes these worries to come is our mind. So mind always give the reason how I can be a miserable. He always tried to find out the reason. Right? For a Chitraketu, not having son is a anxiety. But for the Maharaj Anga, having son is anxiety. Right? So everyone has anxiety, either having the things or not having the things. Right? But everyone is going through the anxieties. Sometimes mind, uh, starts perceiving the realities, imagining realities. One time I heard from Radheshamru that a man sitting on a branch of a tree and, cutting of the, cutting the branches and all. And then a rat bite him. But in front he saw a snake. Then he said, and then he said, the rat might have, bite me. And then he was completely forgotten. And after 2 days, then, sorry, at the first point, the snake bite him, but he saw the rat in front. But after 2 days, when he was doing the same activity, then the rat bite him, but he saw the snake in front. Then he thought, oh, snake might have bitten me. And simply by that fear, sometimes, the scientists have done also the survey that the fear causes the poison in our body. And that's how he died. So mind starts perceiving the realities in that sense. Then why do people actually have the fear? So that's why in 11th canto, 11 to 37, we see that Bhayam Divtiya Abhiniveshatasya Ishad Apetasya Viparyo Smriti Tanmayayato Buddha Bhajetam Bhaktesha Tesha Gurudevatatma Bhyam Dvitiya Abhiniveshatasya. Right? Where there are dualities, this material world is filled with the dualities. And fear arises basically when the living entities misidentify himself. That's the basic. Prabhupada writes also in this purport that when he thinks himself as a material body, and because of absorption in the external illusory energy of the Lord, then he becomes all the more fearful. Prabhupada writes very nice purport here. He says, when the living entity turns away from the Supreme Lord, he also forgets his constitutional position as a servant of the Lord. And the bewildering and fearful condition is affected by the potency of illusion called Maya. So, this is one thing that he always fearful. So, person who is in bodily consciousness immediately becomes fearful. It's like simple example, like when we go on the road, immediately we see someone, then immediately the attention comes on our own body, either on the dress or on the hair. Immediately he becomes conscious of his body. Immediately he is gone. So it's very natural for a body. Actually, it should not be, but it's natural. It's a condition for a body to become bodily conscious, because maximum time of a day we are in bodily conscious. So only the morning period that we have, the Prabhupada's design is like to come out of this mode. So the fear that the Shastra gives basically in two forms is that the fear of reversal and fear of forgetfulness. That reversal in the sense the attachment to the things which are due to the bodily conception of life. Deha patya kalatradeshu. Many shlokas come in the second chapter. So, and there are many stories also Prabhupada gives in this context. Like fish is faffing for some time, but ultimately is going to be taken away, like that. So, the fear, one fears when one is on the bodily platform more. Then fear of forgetfulness also. It's like one example Prabhupada gives is like Arjuna in 1.29, when he was fighting, then the fear of the loss of life, he was fear of material condition. He says, my whole body is trembling, my hair is standing on the end, and my bow is, Gandhi is slipping from my hand. My skin is burning. She was so fearful in the situation. But the same Arjun, who was such a fearful in condition, where now Prabhupada is speaking in that context, when he gets the knowledge of self-realization, then he becomes fearless. How is that? The nashto moha smritir labdva stitosmi gata sandeha. So, tava prasadana maya chuta stitosmi gata sandeha karishye vachanam tava. He says that then Arjuna, when Krishna in 1872, he says that, have you heard what I have spoken very attentively and carefully? If you have, then your all doubts will go away. The nashto moham smriti labdha will happen. That Krishna says in previous way that when you hear this, what I have spoken attentively and carefully. And then Arjuna says by sanctioning, yes, now my all doubts have gone away. And Smriti Labdha, I have gained my memory. Prabhupada writes very brilliant purport here. That Prabhupada says that initially Arjuna was hesitating to surrender, not acting as per the Krishna's plan. When he decided to act as per Krishna's plan, immediately, nashto moham smritir labdva. Right? So as soon as he decided to surrender, now I want to act as per Krishna's plan, then immediately he regained his original constitutional position as a servant of Krishna. And that platform, then he says that then Karishye Vashanam Tava. Then this is a platform of fearlessness. That's what Prabhupada is focusing here. So when one gains the knowledge, then he slowly will come to the platform of fearlessness. Yesterday, I was hearing the lecture of His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj. Maharaj gave a very nice analogy also in this context of fearlessness. And how much, till what extent this knowledge will help, and how we can go to the stage of the self-realization. So he was saying an example. He said how a child becomes fearless in the hand of a father. Then he gave the example that when he was a brahmachari in a temple staying, he said, my god brother, he was having a daughter, and during sankirtan, during a morning program, when there is kirtan, then he used to uh, throw the daughter up in the sky, and he used to catch. And Maharaj was observing, and then he was giving a lessons that how fearless the daughter is, because she was so assured that my father is going to catch. And that time Maharaj was speaking, Maharaj shared the realization. He said, that time she was not thinking that I'm not the body, I'm the soul. Anyway, even if I fall, the soul is still alive. She was not even bothering of this thing. But she had a complete faith that I have taken shelter of my father, so she will protect me. Right? And then he gave the example similarly with, in contrast with like Prahlad Maharaj, that how Hiranyakashipu, he tried so many atrocities to kill him, but Prahlad Maharaj was completely fearless, having taken shelter of Krishna. And then he said that he was not even praying to protect, to Krishna. Neither he was, you know, neither he was, tried to protect himself nor defend, but he was completely dependent on Krishna. He was completely fearless. And then Maharaj said, it is very, we see that in Krishna speaks in Bhagavad Gita, na jayate mrayate va kadachin nayam bhutva bhavitavana bhuya. Ajo nitya shashvatoyam purano na hanyate hanyamane sharire. Yes, the philosophy is important. Na jayate mrayate va kadachin. The soul, there is no birth and death for the soul. That never cut into the pieces. It's ajo nitya shashvato. It's eternal. Purano. That we should know the philosophy, but he said that it is not just only at the level of philosophy, that we should learn to take shelter. Yeah, philosophically I should be convinced that yes, I'm not the body, I'm the soul, but at the same time I should experience the shelter. So when I started experiencing the shelter, then I really come out of that fearful mode, and then I become a fearlessness. Then I become a fearful. So that coming out of this fear, it's very important that we should come out of, we should find out the shelter. Now, where to find out the shelter? That yesterday, Pangujo Purus was also sharing that how Shivram Swami Maharaj wrote a book on Shiksha Guru. That Diksha Guru is, yes, all the way it's very important, playing a role, but we have to learn to find out the shelter even our immediate superiors. Right? We have to learn to depend on them, learn to find out the shelter. It's very important. So when that feeling of shelter comes, then I feel always protected. Whenever I offer obeisance to Srila Prabhupada, actually that feeling comes that, yes, I am rightly situated at the lotus feet of Srila Prabhupada. So that fear should go away. So to the extent we take the shelter of the, or under the guidance of the superiors, under the instruction of the Guru Maharaj, then we will be remain sheltered and protected. So here for Arjuna, yes, it was a fear because initially he was in bodily consciousness. But as soon as he heard from Krishna, he is not only just for philosophically convinced, but he was taking shelter of Krishna. Because Krishna gave many other shelter. You go to the Dronacharya, he is there. You go to the Bhishmadev, you go to the Vyasadeva. He gave the options for taking shelter, but he said, no, I have complete trust on you only. You tell me, that how my anxieties will get removed. So he was completely taking shelter of Krishna in that situation. So very important that taking shelter. It's like Prabhupada gives an analogy, and there monkey way and cat way. For a monkey way, for a monkey child, a baby monkey, if she want to protect, then when the mother is jumping from one tree to another tree, one branch to another branch, then the baby monkey has to caught the mother. She has to catch. Right? It's not that mother is holding. No, he has to try to catch so that I will not fall down. But in case of, cat and kitten, we see that, the kitten is very happily in the mouth of, the cat. The same mouth is, apparently very fearful for the rat, but for the kitten, yes, it is well sheltered and protected. It's like Narsimhadev, although in such a fearful form, all the demigods are fearing, and then practically Hiranyakashipu is, everyone is in the fear, but for Prahlad Maharaj is, you know, Naham Bibemi Ati Bhayanakas. He says, I'm never forget, fearful of this form, because because he's taking shelter of Krishna. He is approaching in that mode, in Vatsalya Bhava. So, therefore, that becoming fearlessness is very important. And for specifically for the renounced order person, as here it is explained, that we have to learn to depend on the Paramatma. That's how we see many examples in this context, that Madhvendra Puri exhibit this principle, that Ayachit Vrati. That, and yesterday we also saw that Sanatana Goswami was sitting under a tree, and, 2 days, but he could not, he did not eat anything. But Madan Gopal, he came with a buttermilk, a pot of buttermilk, and he gave. And then Prabhupada says that Krishna is sitting as a Paramatma in a heart. He knows I'm hungry. And although I'm speaking, but it takes a lot to realize this, that he knows that I'm hungry, so why to worry? He will provide. So Ayachit Varti is something beyond. It's like very difficult to conceive. It's like hope, the entire journey home, we see that how, Adana Swami Maharaj, he followed this Vrati. That I know that in a PDC, one of our PDC met when during the Mahabaleshwar GBC retreat, there many sannyasis were there, and Maharaj, he was sharing a pastime wherein Maharaj was going early for morning walk. He used to go for a morning walk, and this is a place where it's like a forest place. And then he went for morning walk, and he suddenly lost the way. He did not realize where is the room and all. And then when he lost the way, he was searching. Then suddenly our PDC duty, he found. Then Maharaj asked him that, can you show me where is my room? And then he took Maharaj to the room there. And the next day, again Maharaj, was on morning walk, and he lost the way. Again the same devotee met. And that time the devotee thought that, then again Maharaj asked that, can you show me? I forgot where is my room. And the devotee thought, okay, Maharaj, can I give a map? I can draw a map so that, whenever you are, going for morning walk, you can see and you can find out, locate the room. And then Maharaj said, I don't believe in this map. I follow Paramatma. Wherever he says, I just go there. So it's very unimaginable to think of these personalities. They are always so confident that whatever Paramatma guides, just follow. So this is how the Ayachit Vrati is, the completely fearless, because he has taken shelter of Krishna completely. So so further, so many examples in this context, as we see in Shastra also, that how Amrish Maharaj was so fearful, so fearless, that even a demon is right there to kill him, but not even an inch he came, step down or step behind. He was right there because he knew that Krishna will protect me. How much confidence is required that Krishna will protect me in this situation? So one who has taken anxiety for Krishna, Krishna will take anxiety for him. That's how the sadhu hridayam yam sadhunam hridayam tayam. Krishna is constantly meditating on his devotees, and devotees are trying to meditate on Krishna and fulfilling his desires. So Krishna will make all the arrangement, and he tried to protect the devotees. Although devotee don't ask for protection, still in Haridas Thakur case, or in so many pastimes of Prabhupada, Amrish Maharaj here, Prahlad Maharaj, Dhruva Maharaj right stepping on the head of death personified and going to the Vaikuntha plane. That also explanation comes. So they are completely fearless, having taken shelter of Krishna. Uh, I was hearing one of the class of Gaurang Prabhu where Shivaya Lokasya Bhavaya Bhutale. That is very nice slok where sages are asking that Parishit Maharaj is worthy for a shelter of all living beings. Why did he give up and taken this renounced order and sitting here? Right? He would have, there are other methods. He would have contracted, counter curses, or he could have stopped this. He had that options, but although he was a shelter for everyone, why he took this step? And this constant Dero class, although he was seeing Krishna's hand behind, and yes, the Srimad Bhagavatam is going to come, which is a shelter for all the future generation. And that contest, when I was hearing the discussion, then Gaurapuru shared a very nice point that he said that whenever I am with Maharaj, I'm completely fearless. Before that, so many anxieties, so many problems. But when I call Maharaj on phone, then I feel okay. Now my anxieties have gone. All the more he said, when Maharaj, if I get a news that Maharaj is arrived on the airport, simply by hearing the news, I feel that I have conquered Maya. It's like that how much, taken shelter of the spiritual master, that one becomes completely, fearless, having been taken of shelter of, spiritual master. So, so we need to find out the right shelter. And the Prabhupada gives many example in this context also, that taking shelter of Srimad Bhagavatam. So book Bhagavat and person Bhagavat, that we have to learn to take shelter of a person Bhagavat and book Bhagavat, very important. And Prabhupada is saying here that Parikshit Maharaj took shelter of a person Bhagavat, realized soul, Sukadeva Goswami. And that's how he is saying that I become completely fearless by hearing from Sukadeva Goswami, a complete self-realized soul. Similarly, I personally have observed that when I attain yatras, Maharaj Yatra now, at least we get that glimpse that, okay, we are somewhere else by hearing the Katha and Kirtan, attending lectures, Maharaj, because he brings all of us in the another spiritual plane only. Just being in the association of spiritual as a realized soul, that immediately we, transform, beyond our the conditioning. So this is important. So taking shelter of Srimad Bhagavatam. One time Srimad Bhagavatam, Prabhupada was writing the first canto in Vrindavan. And one Brajavasi came and he said, Abhay Babu, you are writing with Parakar pen. He said, that Gauranga gives this example. And then he says that. And Prabhupada says that, yes, जो भी ये पढ़ेगा श्रीमद् भागवतम वो भौतिक जगत पार करेगा. So Prabhupada was so confident that by reading this Srimad Bhagavatam, one get fearlessness. Yeah. So this is very important. And the more, there are many shlokas also comes that how by taking shelter of the holy name, one becomes fearless. That आपन्न स्मृतिर गोनान यन्नाम विवशो गणान ततो सद्यो विमुच्येत यद बिभीति स्वयं भयम. That is that the living beings who are entangled in this complicated mess of birth and death can be freed immediately, even by unconsciously chanting the holy name, which is feared by fear personified. So, in this context, Prabhupada gave example of Ajamil also. Unconsciously, even chanting the holy name, he becomes fearless. Yetad nirvidyamananam ichchatam akuto bhayam. This word comes here. Yogi nam nrapa narnitam harer namanu kirtanam. So one who is constantly chanting of the holy name, taking shelter of the holy name, he becomes fearless. Yeah. Therefore, he says to the Parishit Maharaj that तस्माद भारत सर्वात्मा भगवान ईश्वरो हरि श्रुतव्य कीर्तितव्यश्च समृतव्य इच्छिता अकतो भयम. So this is also important. That therefore, tasmat, therefore, Hey Parishit Maharaj, what you do is Shrutavya, hear, Kirtitavya, that speak about the glories, Samratavya, remember about Krishna. Then you will come out of this fear. And then Parishit Maharaj, we see that when he heard from Sukadeva Goswami, then he also said that now I have become completely fearless. That even if a snake bird comes there, then I don't have a fear. Tammapayeta pratiyantu vipra ganga cha deve dhrutachittam esha द्विजोपसृष्टम कुतस कुहकस तक्षकोवा दशमलम दशत्वलम गायत विष्णु गाथा. He said that now I have completely taken shelter of Vishnu Gatha. Let there be Krishna Katha. Now I completely become fearless. I am completely surrendered to the lotus feet of Krishna. I have taken up the lotus feet of Krishna in my heart. Dhrita Chittam, right? I have completely hold Krishna's lotus feet. Now I have become fearless. Now you continue chanting holy name. I am no more have fear of this snake bird. So this is important quality, and therefore most important part is like coming in association of devotees regularly. And when you hear this philosophy, as Prabhupada is saying here, when you hear about this self-realization and the knowledge of oneself, then slowly we'll come out of this bodily consciousness and we'll try to find out the shelter. We take a shelter of superiors, we take the shelter of Guru and Krishna. Then we become completely fearless. Otherwise, there is no chance. This is the only way to take shelter. Philosophically, I may be convinced, but how much the philosophy we remember, actually, I remember that when I face the situation. Very difficult. Very difficult. But at the same time, if I taken shelter of the superiors, immediately either I will call, I try to find out the protection, I try to seek the shelter there. This is very much important. That physical, live person shelter is very much important. Yeah, we are not compromising on philosophy, but at the same time, we have to convince philosophically also. At the same time, we have to have a shelter. So we are very fortunate and very grateful to Srila Prabhupada having been created such a nice society where everyone is rightly situated under the right shelter, given the right shelter. So thank you very much. Please pray for me that I will remain in such a shelter and seek for the shelter. जय श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय, श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय, गौर भक्त वृंद की.